Hello, welcome. We did it.
Hello.
We got here
Yes.
safely without too many explosions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of explosions,
Hello,
mm-hmm.
August. We're glad that you're joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to see August. August is so awesome, so loving, so kind. You're the best.
Yeah.
I hope that one day I get to maybe do something with August. Be interesting, do like a Don't Worry Wednesday or something like that with him. But if
Yeah.
August didn't want to, I would never push. But it would be interesting. August is very kind, loving. So much like yourself, Malvios, we have Malvios with us as well today, which is really great. I'm really happy you're here. As I told you before we started, you are a lifesaver and a show saver because without you, well, I probably wouldn't even have anybody today because I completely forgot that I needed to recruit somebody. So thank you,
Thank you. I'm
Malvios.
glad to be here, and I'm glad I'm helping by um giving the show someone to co-host with you.
Yeah. Yo. What's
What's
up,
up,
Sayoli?
Sayole?
Hey. Good to see
How's
you.
everyone doing?
That's a good question. How is everybody doing? How are you doing, young Goose?
I'm doing great. How about you, Ryan?
Doing great as well. I'm quite hot, and what's the word? The word that came to my head was soggy. I'm hot and soggy. That is not it. Um,
Sweaty?
Not quite sweaty. There's, it's very humid here. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's like I'm kind of like drowning in the air, which is great. And I'm sure you guys can hear some background noises that are going on, but it is what it is. It's Japan, and Japan's loud. So yeah, it's like a heat wave seems like your type of weather, right? Yeah, you know what? It is. It's totally fine. I'd rather be hot than cold, and so here I am. I'm hot, and you know what? I'm happy. I don't have to put on like 15 pairs of socks and all that kind of stuff. So it's great. Oh my gosh, you had your
Nice.
first jury duty summons. Um, how was it? How did it go? Did you attend yet, or did you just get the? You said you got officially sworn on the jury today. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Hey, that's awesome. I got summoned for jury duty once, and then luckily they uh, ended up sending another letter that said you don't have to come in before I even like did anything. So I've never been on a jury. Wow.
Me neither. I've always been curious. Like, I don't I wouldn't particularly want to be on a jury, but I'm curious, like, what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it like? I'm sure Joe has quite a few experiences. He's been on a lot of juries. But you and I were both just, young blood. Yeah, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
um, it seems interesting. Don't tell anyone about the case. Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Um, yeah, I don't know why my voice is jumping back and forth. Let me know if that continues. Is it still doing that right now, Saole? Or was that just a temporary thing? It might have been something to do with the outside environment coming in. It's still doing that. Hmm. It's just a directional mic and it's only got one channel. So that's really weird. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah, no, that shouldn't be changing. It sounds weird though, huh? Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't speak about the trial. That's pretty smart. Okay, let's see here. Maybe it has something to do with this one.
It's, that's weird that it's only happening for you.
I
Because,
think I
like,
okay. How is it now? Saule, is it still doing it, or are we better now? Ah, la, 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 la. If it's fixed, let me know. If it is fixed, I'm gonna then do more stuff, and then you'll have to let me know more. Unfortunately, I didn't test this before starting to stream because usually I don't have to. Usually it's fine. I had no idea this was gonna
yeah,
happen.
technology.
Seems fixed but slightly off center. Okay. Fixed but slightly off center. You know, I noticed that it is off center. For some reason, it's showing that the left is louder than the right, which is weird because it's literally a directional mic with only one input, so I don't understand why that's happening. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm making noises. Let me try something here. Now it's hitting hard on the left. Maybe it is a multi-directional mic, but if it was, that wouldn't make any sense because it's a pencil mic. Pencil mic shouldn't have two different audios, but maybe it does. If I talk to this way, talking to this way, talking to this way, talking to this way, ah la 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 la. I'm not sure what's going on, to be honest, and I'm sorry for messing with everybody's ears as I was doing that. But
I
apparently,
will say, to
yeah.
me, like on the call, I don't know if it's coming out different on the YouTube stream, but on the call, it sounds like it sounds fine.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I just realized I do have another mic plugged in. If I unplug that might kind of fix it a little bit. Because, um, yeah, yeah. Okay, so do you only pick me up guys in the left channel now? I bet you do. I think you do. Okay. I'm sure it sounds very annoying right now.
I'm gonna like turn it on the audio to see what it sounds like on the YouTube stream.
Yes, exclusively left ear. Yeah, it was because I had two mics plugged in. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Um,
To me, it sounds better now on the. I mean, I don't know how it sounded before, but to me on the YouTube stream, it sounds good now.
but it should be mono, which isn't ideal. So, I'm gonna quickly fix that. Hopefully. And also, everybody, sorry for being in just your left ear. That sounds horrible, I know. Hmm. Try to figure out how to fix it though. That's the hard part.
Yeah, technology issues.
Oh,
There's
here
a
we go.
lot of.
No? Oh, there should be. There should be mono. Why that not mono? Why that one not mono? There should be mono. Hmm. Okay, I have another solution. A temporary solution, but it is a solution. And we're back to both ears, and well, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. For now, I think it's not perfect, but it will should be a little bit better than it was before at the very least.
Yeah, Segule
Close enough.
says close enough.
Yeah, I just put them both on and then put them both facing me instead. It's not ideal. I'll have to figure out the whole thing later. 'Cause I don't want to take up the stream with audio testing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for saying that. Yeah, it makes sense. One was facing away from me, so and it was facing the wall. So by the time I got to that one, which was the other ear, it probably sounded really weird. Um, but it was hotter, so it was like louder, but also with me being farther away. So I'm sure that sounded super funky. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Great problem solving technique. Like try different things and like test stuff to figure out what is causing the issue and
Hmm.
try different things to see what might fix it.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was the filter on it, so that like not the filter on the actual device, but the filter on the software to get rid of noise. Maybe it was the noise suppression stuff, but it wasn't that, which is good
I see.
because I'd rather the software work because then you don't have to hear the sounds of Tokyo constantly during the stream. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna double check here. I believe we don't have any topics. Once again, unfortunately, yep, no topics submitted. But if anyone has anything that they'd like to talk about, we'd be really happy to cover it. This is Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show where we talk about the issues, the problems, the concerns that are going on in life. And um, we aren't professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything along those lines, but we can be a friend to walk alongside you, to give some personal experiences and thoughts on different matters, and really, hopefully, just give enough encouragement to help you get through the problems you're going through. A lot of times we can't solve them, but we can make suggestions. And it's really awesome because um, it's neat being in a position where people actually ask for help and are willing to make changes in their lives. Because a lot of times when like people in person and they like complain or they sometimes they even ask you for advice, they like almost never take it. But we get to be in a unique position on Don't Worry Wednesday where we're kind of third party and for some reason people tend to listen more. So it's really cool. But not that we think everyone should listen to everything we have to say, but more so that people are making changes in their lives, regardless of whether it's our decision or not, or sorry, our decisions, our thoughts, our advices or not. They're clearly trying to actually make some changes, which is really cool. So I'm really happy to see that. And the problem is this show is self-defeating because uh, apparently everybody's problems are solved, so we don't have anybody to submit any topics anymore. But if you happen to be a rare case where if there happens to be a rare case in your life where you're like, oh, you know what, I haven't solved this yet, we'd be happy to cover it. So other than that, if we don't get any topics, we just have to make our own up, and that's going to be a little bit, um, well, it might be entertaining at the very least. Hopefully, it will be. But anyways, that's my
Yeah.
intro. It's really weird. Hi, Pear. Welcome. Did you miss something? You missed us, and we missed you.
If you're talking about Joe not being here, he's just out this week,
Mm-hmm.
probably doing stuff with his kids or something,
That's
and
right.
I'm just subbing in for him.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been just been pretty busy last couple of weeks, doing work and kid stuff, I'm pretty sure, like you said, Myonglios. So Myonglios has been with us the last couple of weeks and he's been really great. So I'm really happy to have him here again. He's really chill.
And we're happy,
Yeah. Go on.
and we're happy that you're here, Bear.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're
And
happy you're here as
anyone
well.
be and anyone who might be watching but not in the chat, we're
Mm,
happy to have you watching as well.
that's right. That's right. We are happy. We're happy to have you watching, even if you don't speak. That's true. Um, but it's hard to acknowledge you because we don't know if you're here or not because we can't see.
say seven watching, and I think there's more than seven of us in the chat.
Yeah. Of course, let's see. If one of them is me and one of them is you, that makes it 5. That's still more.
Two.
That's still more than what you
Oh,
have in the chat.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's good.
So that's
Yeah. Yeah. Right before the stream, I discovered that my headphones, um, this this thing that goes around and on top of my head, it it turned it decayed overnight. Like it just I don't know, I don't know, I can't show you. Oh, I can
oh
show you this. Here's some particles of it. I don't know how it happened, but it just like
dang.
started like decaying and turning into little shreds of little tiny specks of who knows what. So I just was like, I don't want all that in my hair, so I took it off, my headphones, and I'm just wearing it without it. My wife just handed me her headphones, which is really sweet of her. Um, Maybe I'll put them on. Yeah, I have no idea what happened. Luckily you can just easily get these replaced. I just had to buy a different one online, because they sell the part individually. But I've owned this. So the weird thing is, like, this is probably my second or third pair of headphones like this. I can't remember now. Anyways, none of them have, like, I've had these for years and years and years, and none of them have ever had that happen to them. So I have no idea what happened. Maybe something to do with the moisture in the air, or maybe I accidentally set it next to like a really hot device that was blowing hot air on it for a long time last night. I'm not sure. But either way, they totally decayed. It turned into, it's like they had radiation just pumped through them and just turning into dust. It's really weird.
Yeah, that does sound weird.
It's like when I rub it, it just like turns into like decayed dust leather stuff. Really weird. He says the humidity probably, Cat. Okay, that's probably true then. My blonde hair is reflecting the sun and vaporizing it clearly. That's hilarious. That's hilarious, August. I love that. Probably it. That makes a lot of sense to me. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Um, yeah. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here with us. Um, I'm gonna quickly check the topics again just in case. So,
Okay.
are you guys all on like summer break right now? Is that what's going on? Is that time of year?
Um, I mean, it is for, I guess, people in the U.S. I don't probably some other places too, but in the U.S. it's summer break.
Mm, yeah. How's summer break been so far?
Good.
Good.
Busy at times, not busy at other times. I feel like I've like had fun and been getting some stuff done.
Oh, good. Yeah, it feels
So
great to get stuff done, though.
yeah,
And there's a lot of stuff you can only really get done when you're on break, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. We do have a topic, by the way. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I have to process this real quick. Actually, let's process it later. Let's process it in post. Is that cool? I'm
Yeah,
just
that
gonna
sounds
send
good.
this to you, and then we can all read
Okay.
it together and enjoy it together, and then we'll do it. Um, you returned with cake, Saule. That's the best. Are you gonna share it with the rest of the class, or is it just for you? Because I could really go for some cake. That sounds really good. I had cake for breakfast yesterday, and I don't regret it. I could have another one. Yeah.
Cake is good.
Okay, so you're also on break, August. Internship to finish. Oh wow. What are you getting a master's in again? It's amazing. Pear, and how is your studies going? How's everybody's studies going? A lot of you guys are in college. Kat is probably in college. I don't actually, Kat, are you still in college, or I mean that was the last time we were talking you were in college, but that was a while ago. Apologize, we haven't talked much. I'm going to tell the rest of the class that it is very good. Yes. Does that count as sharing? Yes, it does. It does count as sharing. You're sharing your opinion, so that counts totally. That's so great. Oh, and health. Wow, environmental health sciences. Yeah, okay. I do remember you saying that before. Yeah, that's good.
I guess you had that topic the other day about were you the one who had the topic about like having the internship and like
Mm-hmm.
deciding if like that's what you wanted to do, like what you wanted your next steps in life to be, like yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Like working full time and like how that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a, it's a culture shock, world shock. I don't know, lifestyle shock. It makes sense for it to be. Um, but yeah, of course you're going to be missing some of the friends you have back home in both ways, probably. I mean, back back in your college and back home, you're probably going to have friends that you want to see, right? That Pair says it's been a rough semester, but it ended well. Okay, that's good. About to head off visit your aunt and in another state for a week tomorrow, so you're all right. Yeah, hey, that's great. I hope you have a hero. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. A wild
Yeah.
hero has appeared. This is great. Fantastic. Everyone's
I love
here
Hero.
with us again.
Yeah,
By the way,
Hero.
I
I
should
saw a
state.
bit of your.
Hmm?
Oh,
Go on.
you can go first.
I was just gonna say with us today is Mianklios. I should add that. Once again, Joe is missing, not literally missing, guys. He's fine. He'll be back probably next week. But really happy to have Mianklios with us. And so yeah, and also again, thank you, Mianklios, for being with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Hero, I saw a little bit of your Tears of the Kingdom stream that you were doing the other day.
Nice.
It was cool.
Nice. Was it inspiring?
Um,
Did it
I
make you
guess
get some work
so.
done?
I guess nostalgic probably more for me. He was doing some
Uh
of the shrines in Tears of the Kingdom, and it reminded me of watching my older brother do shrines in
mm,
Breath of the Wild like a while ago.
yeah, I bet. That's sweet though. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't caught any streams yet. I've only caught the aftermath of one of them, unfortunately. Hopefully I can catch some better in the future. It's hard when schedules are all over the place, you know?
yeah,
Life can be busy. So, yeah, hey, thank you, Anonymous, for sending in a topic. We are going to get to it. And I just want to say one thing before we start. We love you all, and we appreciate you all, and we are not um, aren't therapists, but we will give you our best today. And if you have any topics for us, we would be really appreciative if you sent them in. Whether you send it through the site, like Saule posted just above, or if you just post it in the chat, that's probably fine too. But through the site is probably the best way if you want to remain anonymous. But yes, thank you so much for the topic once again, Anonymous, and we will do our best to cover it. And hopefully, one way or another, it will be helpful to you. So with that, I'm going to... Miaglis, are you ready for it?
yes.
Awesome. Great, let's do it then. I'm going to throw it onto the screen for you guys to read along with me. And yeah, feel free also in the chat, guys. You guys are here and you guys have great wisdom to share. So if you have anything to say on the topic, as always, we really appreciate when you do. Yeah, with that said, I didn't process this topic, but it is by Anonymous. Does not have a title yet, but it reads as follows. You can read it on the screen with me if you so desire. So here it is. Over the last 4 years, my friend has slowly been falling down a mental health spiral. He was diagnosed with major depression years ago and has been attending therapy, but their academic situation has been extremely rough, and he recently had a very bad falling out with his closest group of friends. Promptly after, he got diagnosed with OCD, but then went down a rabbit hole of self-diagnosing themselves with autism. This whole journey so far has been worrying as they've pulled away from their family, friends, and school to focus on this journey of finding out everything wrong with themselves. They're about to get kicked out of college for not meeting GPA requirements for the last 3 years. And they refuse to work because they are too scared to put any of their work, they do art, or effort, get a temp job, out there. Genuinely, they are so dangerously close to reaching a very immense tipping point. The loans/grants they have are running dry. Therapist appointments without insurance are costly, and their isolation at home for the last decade has not provided them important life skills. One big one being money management. So they continue to use their small amount of money to buy leather clothing, go to concerts, etc. So, not to make this any longer, sorry, but do you think there is anything I can do to kind of ground them, to lean them away from this self-defeating rabbit hole of self-diagnosing, lacking motivation, and feelings of self-worthlessness, to help empower them to either finish school strong or at least try and pick up a job? If nothing changes, they are at very high risk of being homeless within the year. From Anonymous. Yeah, that sounds like quite a tragic situation. That sounds like watching a house burn down to the ground. I'm sure that for you, this has been incredibly stressful, Anonymous, and likewise for them. I mean, obviously it is. They're going to see a therapist. They're um, falling out with their family. They're falling out from school. I'm sure they have a lot of self self-talk that's not healthy. Of course, you're not in that position, and you can't control it necessarily entirely in that position, anyways. So it's not on them. But yeah. Um, oh, you know what? I posted the topic in the wrong place. Here you go. Man wheels. Sorry about that. There, now you have
Oh,
it.
thank you.
I just realized I posted the topic in my server on the announcements, which I mean that's one place to put it. I'm gonna delete that. All right. No one can respond at least. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is quite a terrible position to be in for them, and of course, all you want to do is help. And I'm sure it's been really painful watching the whole thing happen over time. And sometimes things like this have to happen. Sometimes people have to have that breakdown um, in order to rebuild themselves. But if they aren't concentrated on rebuilding themselves and they're only concentrated on the breakdown and tearing themselves down further and further, yeah, that is a disaster, right? So I appreciate you sending this topic in, Anonymous. I really appreciate that you want to help this person, and let's hope we find um, a way to at least help in some way. I'm sure I will say that, I'm sure that your continued friendship with them or engagement with them, whether they see it or not, has been helpful. If you have a heart to reach out for something like this on Don't Worry Wednesday, then I'm sure you've had the heart to reach out to them and be a part of their life and at least show that you care, regardless of if you think anything you've done has made any helpful change in them or not. I'm sure that it has helped with their psyche at the very least. But yeah, this sounds like a very tough situation, and I'm gonna do my best to mull over and give you my best that I can. But for now, I'm gonna give it over to Myunglios. If Myungli, how do you feel?
To say to start off. To begin with, um, Anonymous, thank you for submitting the topic, and my heart goes out to you and your friend.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a really rough situation, and like very kind of you to just be like, thinking of them, trying to help them in any way you can. Like, even if like you don't feel like anything's been that helpful so far, like I'm sure it means a lot to them just having you there as a friend who cares. And so keep that up. But anyways, the first thing I will say is one thing that stood out to me is it sounds um like their mindset is problem focused instead of
Hmm.
solution focused. Which swapping that over to be solution focused, like there's probably a lot that would be involved in that, but like acknowledging that would be a start. Like they're focusing on all these things that are wrong. They're like self-diagnosing, like trying to, be like, oh, here's all these problems. This is a problem. They're like so focused in like things being bad and everything that's wrong that they like are just feeling stuck and unmotivated with nowhere to go. Whereas being solution focused would be like, okay, all of this is bad, but or like, there's all these like problematic things or whatever, but like you're gonna find the way to like move forward. Like, what's the solution here, or how can I move forward? Which, if like there's not an obvious path, that can be hard to do, but they should stop focusing so much on everything being a problem and like just living in problems. They should live in like, let me find the way forward. And then also, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like even if like them diagnosing, so like they could have autism, they might not. Like a self-diagnosis is not an official diagnosis, but even if they do have autism, like there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Even though some of society kind of looks down on that, there's not actually anything specifically wrong with that. OCD either. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about OCD. I know generally what it is, and like that might be somewhat of a struggle, but like there's nothing inherently wrong with having OCD. Like everyone has their own struggles. Some are like, these things that have been given like names of what it is and then are seen as more of a struggle than other things, but everyone has their own stuff that they go through and their own way of processing the world, and there's not inherently something wrong with having OCD, or if they have autism, which they might not, but if they do, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Um, Let me look back over this to see. Another thing, Anonymous, is it would probably help, like, you just continuing to be their friend. Like, since they had a falling out with a really close group of friends, like, if you can be there for them because they lost, like, those friends, if you can be there as a close friend who cares, like, someone to listen and be there for them, encourage them to, like, keep going and try to turn things around, that would be a huge help. Because whenever you're like, I can imagine that if I was going through a really tough time and kind of spiraling into a like feeling like everything's going bad, like it would really help, having someone there to get me through it.
Hmm.
So just by continuing to be there, that would help a lot, I think. Um, as far as college goes, um, I don't know what their major is, or like what their intended career path or whatever is. Um, if they think they can turn it around to stay in college and like that's the path they want to do, that that could be good. Like if they have the capability to turn it around, to get their grades up and continue going. But if that doesn't seem like a reasonable option. Like college isn't the only path to like a good career life. There's plenty of people who either didn't go to college at all or dropped out. I think Ryan, you dropped out of
Hmm.
college, right? Like partway through.
Hmm.
Yeah, like there's plenty of people who are successful and didn't get a college degree.
Well, it made sense
Like
for me to do it
it definitely,
because I had lines figured out what I wanted to do, and it just didn't involve what I needed to do at college. So, yeah.
yeah, there's some careers where like you kind of have to get a college degree,
Yeah.
which I don't know if the career they want is one of those,
Hmm.
but that's not the only college isn't the only path to a good career and a good life. It definitely helps, especially like some careers, especially you need college, but like just because you don't get a college degree doesn't mean you're gonna be like, never gonna have a good job or anything like that.
Yeah.
But if they like think about it and they do want to like do would really want to continue college and get their degree, um, like if they can turn it around and get their grades up, maybe go to tutoring if there's like free tutoring with their college. Um, that like if they can turn it around, if they really think about it and decide that they want to turn it around, then like you know, encourage them to like try their best, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't work out.
Hmm.
And maybe like I don't know if like getting kicked out, they'd be able to like get back in later. I don't know how all that works, but like maybe some like time off and then coming back to college might be what they need. I'm not
Mm.
sure. I don't know the situation. Um, I'm reading back over the topic.
Hmm. That's good.
I do think as far as like putting art out there, like if they want to like sell art, like even though it's scary, like putting it out there is like a necessary step. Like it can kind of be scary to put stuff out there. Like I just recently posted my first YouTube video.
Hmm.
It's kind of scary a little bit,
Yeah.
putting something out there.
Great
What
job.
if people, don't like it, or like what if it gets like basically no views,
Mm.
that can be a thing. Or like with an art piece, no one might buy it. But you'd never know unless you put it out there. By like not putting it out there, the door's closed. Like it's no one's gonna be able to like it or buy it
Hmm.
or view it if it's not out there. Like even though some people might not like it, the focus should be more on like maybe that one person. Like even if it's just one person, like it might bring them so much joy seeing this art piece and buying it. Like it might be exactly what they were looking for to decorate their room or something like that.
Hmm.
So like don't leave the door closed out of fear of rejection. Open it up. Even if like there's people who don't like it. Um focus on like the possibility of the people who would like it. And that is like closed off if you never put it out there. And then anonymous, like I don't know how much money you have, but like and I don't know like what other support circle they have, but like it can help to have like people that are close to you. Like whenever you put something out there, like you already know that like you have people who know you who are going to be like buying your stuff or like liking your content, being like, "Oh, that looks so good," who are there for you. like yeah, anonymous. Like I don't know if like you would want to do this, but like you could buy like one of their art, just as a like a first buyer, or like if it's a like a post thing, you being there to like put a like on it or whatever, like that helps. Like for me, like my video that I posted so far, all the views and likes are people that I know, but like even though it's like people I know that I told about it, like that doesn't make it any less meaningful. But like if they want to like do art for a living, like putting it out there and like to sell or for people to look at is like a necessary step. And it's like all artists started somewhere. Some might have gotten like no views on like their first five pieces, but then like one like really took off or something. I don't know. But like you gotta start somewhere. And chances are there's gonna be people, I mean, there's always people who don't like things, but chances are there's gonna be people who like their art, who like your art. And generally from like artists that I've known, like all like people who I've seen make art, I feel like there's usually a lot of people have a bias against their own art. Like they'll say it's
Mm,
bad, even if everyone they show it to is like, wow, that's really good. They'll like I've seen people who will still be like, no, it's not that good. I messed this up. It's bad, even though like literally everyone's like, wow, that's amazing.
mhm,
So, anonymous, your friend, I don't know I don't know for sure what they're like or whatever, but they might have that bias. Like if they've shown it like to you, to other people, like their art, and everyone said that it's good, then like they might just be saying it's bad just as a personal bias against themselves, and like you know they might put it out there and like everyone likes it, or most people at least. Um, and then also I get financial situations like that sounds really rough, like
mm,
possibly being homeless. I can see how that would feel like a hopeless situation.
mhm.
But like put the art out there, they probably should get like some sort of job. Like even though it can be scary, like even though it can be scary, um, like just going for it. Like I guess I don't know a whole lot of what to say on that, but let me read through this again. Oh, and you said something about money management. I don't know how much they would listen to you, but like if you can help them try and manage their money better, um, kind of give them like thoughts or like a goal to work toward um, with money. I don't know. I think that's all I have for now.
Mm.
I might have more later, but I'm gonna turn it over to you, Ryan.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of really great things. Great job. Honestly, uh, I think all I can do is kind of follow up some of what you were talking about. And I'm gonna start by talking about what's going on in chat a little bit. Saule, is really kind of hitting hard on this notion of being away from just completely, basically getting wrapped up into a different scenario where it's like you're you're sucked into a whole new world for a time, you know? Um, Not necessarily isekai, but you get what I mean. Like you're at college and so on and so forth, and then you just go, you know what? I'm doing this other thing for a while, and then you go to a different college with completely different people, and you have no connections with anybody, or maybe you go and you work a job or something, and I know that this person, it's not like you can get them to do anything, but it really does change your perspective and help ease yourself on a lot of these things. And one of the things I was thinking about was it sounds to me like your friend needs an adventure to go on. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, Mancleos was hitting at it I see a lot of people in the chat hitting at it as well. I think it's like your friend is in a position where they have a loop going on, and that loop is self-defeating, right? Of course, that's part of what depression is generally. But even outside of their head, they have a loop going on with their friends that's decaying. It's a loop of it's destroying, being destroyed, and their family life and their college and their grades and all of this kind of stuff. It's like I almost want to suggest just being like, hey, we're just gonna go out to the woods and live in the woods for like a month, and then we're gonna come back to our real lives. You know, I know it sounds like a bit ridiculous and silly, but at the same time, um, I don't expect them to just randomly one day figure out that they could be wrong about everything and they need to like reassess everything. And that's a really hard thing to do. And unless you're given the time to do it, you're never going to do it. So they have a lot going on in their life. They have a lot of stress and a lot of things they have to attend to, especially if they're going to college. And it's like, yeah, but they're not actually doing anything at college. So they're just skipping class or they're just not participating, and that's why they have low grades. Hey, that's still a thing on their plate that they have to think about. Same thing with getting a job, same thing with family life, same thing with friends. You've got all these things on your plate that you're worried about, and whether you're doing anything or not, it's still occupying a part of your brain, making you feel stuck. And I know it's really weird of me to bring that up because it's not like you have the opportunity to necessarily fix that for them. But at the same time, I think the best advice I can give is the advice I've given before, but maybe not to you or any, whatever. But uh, if you really want to make a change in someone's life, you have to go on an adventure with them. And that takes a lot of effort and time. And what I mean is you go out and do something and you invite them for the journey. You decide for yourself that you're going to become a better person. You decide for yourself that you're going to change who you are. You decide for yourself that you're going to do something to make yourself and your life better. And then you invite them along for the ride. Because that's the only way to get it through someone's head, because then it's no longer about them and they can just soak it in. Does that make sense? If you're dealing with someone who's depressed and they've been depressed for the last several years, they've got a negative outlook on life that has anything to do with them. They might look at other people and be happy. They might look at other people and not think negative things about them. But one of the distinct key commonalities across many versions of depression is that you have a habit of being negative and a habit of being self-focused. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're selfish. In fact, it could appear as being selfless. But either way, if you've got this self-focus that's overriding everything and this negative outlook on everything that has to do with you, then you never stop thinking everything that ever happens in the world around you is about you. If people are laughing, it's about you, and they're laughing at you because it's definitely got to be negative, etc. So that's a pretty common characteristic of depression. It's not like it happens I'm not necessarily saying that this is what this person's going through, but it's very common. When that's the case, you can't expect anything you say or do that requires them to put mental effort in. You can't really expect any positive things to come out of it, because they will absolutely spin everything to their agenda of destroying themselves, because they fully believe that they are, I don't know, whatever it is, right? I can't say, but they are sold into the concept of whatever their habits are. And those are incredibly difficult. And that's why it's like when you're put into a position where you've just like literally dumped everything, you've got nothing to go off of, all of a sudden you don't have like habits anymore. If that makes sense. Because the reason you have the habits you have is because of the environments you're in and the thinking you have and so on and so forth. But then if you're like just all of a sudden dropped out of a plane and you've got none of that, your habits kind of go away with the surroundings that you um, were enduring. For example, you've got a good friend group, let's say. I know that their friend group just recently is not doing well, but even if the friend group is doing well, every day they're seeing the same friends and thinking the same things and retrying to what's the word? Justify and convince themselves that they're right about different things. Because every day they see the same group of friends and they're like, yeah, I know they don't like me. I know they don't actually like me for sure. They don't actually like me. They don't really want me around. And they will run with that agenda and try to convince themselves that that's true every day. And so they see these people every day, and what are they doing all day? They're just thinking those thoughts. You take the friend group away, well, they aren't drawn to those thoughts anymore. And again, I'm not trying to say that they should just get rid of their friends and that they should be homeless and they should drop out of school and like lose everything. But at the same time, they need something different, right? And that's why you're here. Like you're like they need something different. And I mean, the most kind and cautious version of this, of their way out of it, is to be inspired and to be given new habits, a new way of thinking. And that's not going to be something that manifests from within. It's not going to be something that they convince themselves of. It can only be something that they inherit from the world around them. Because right now, they're stuck where they are, and they have been several years. They're not going to find their way out by thinking. So, the way out is by being surrounded by people who think so differently from them and have such a strong desire for getting better that it's infectious and it changes them from the outside in. That's like the only way I see out of this. It doesn't mean it's the only, like, sorry, that's the nicest way. That's the smoothest path out of this that I can see. Now, that doesn't mean that's the only path and doesn't mean that there isn't another smoother path. But from my point of view, my experience, um, from what I can understand of this situation, it seems to me that you don't, this friend is not going to get out of this almost no matter what. If you pull them aside and have every conversation ever, chances are it's not going to change much. But if you include them into something where there's yourself and a group of people who are like really fired up about something and point every part of their being towards that thing, and they start to get invested themselves and get interested in it and start to point themselves towards that future that everybody else is in that communal sort of experience. When they point themselves at a direction, they'll lose themselves in it. And when they lose themselves, they'll stop focusing on themselves, which is one part of the habit that is depression. And the other thing is if they start focusing on something and that future is a bright future, they're going to start breaking apart. They'll start breaking apart their other habit, which is a cause for depression, which is this sense of negativity, especially anything that has to do being wrapped up with themselves. So if they can see a brighter future for themselves and get sold that and actually put effort into it, that could be life-changing. And that's what you're suggesting anyways. Because here, you know, everything you've said here is like, well, you know, their college, which is pointing to their future, getting a part-time job even, or just getting, you know, putting their art out there so that they can move forward in that and get some interest going on in that realm and find some joy in succeeding. And you know, you're talking about their future as well and all the things that are kind of going bad. They've got loans and stuff to pay. They might end up essentially just losing all their money because they're not being frugal and end up on the streets. So you're really focused on their future, and that's great. And they're probably focused on their future too, but only in the negative sense. They think that it's all just going to come crumbling down, and it is. And because that's basically the effort that they're putting in is to have it crumble down. And that's not great. And it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And it's not great. Here's the, what's the word? Consultation? Is that, here's the okay part about all of that. If it all does fall apart, which can happen, if it doesn't go smoothly, if my like I said, if you can't find a way to get them wrapped up into something that's future pointed that they can get excited about and can be surrounded by people who are also fighting for that same future, because that can totally rip someone out of depression if you can find that. But if you can't find that for them, they can't get into something like that. Um, and it does go like worst case scenario, they end up on the street with little to no friends and the family turning their back on them or whatever, right? Let's say worst case happens. Then finally, then they will be broken from this exterior loop, right? Where they're met with all of these things day in and day out that just they're working to reconfirm that they have all of these problems, right? They're trying to convince themselves that like the reason they're failing at life is because I've got autism. I've got all of these things going wrong with me, and that's why they're self-diagnosing all this stuff, right? They they need some kind of justification. They need some kind of proof that it's not their fault. And the reality is there are definitely things that aren't their fault. And there are things that are. And most of it isn't their fault because they don't realize that it could be any different. And so if they at least reach rock bottom, then they'll at least be thrown into a position where they have the opportunity to really dig at the bottom where the root of problems are and be broken from a scenario where they are stuck because they're trying to hold on and maintain everything that they're losing and they're afraid to lose. Part of being, what's the word? Part of feeling alive and like you have control, and that life is going well is literally the ability to give everything up. When you when you can just give things up and it's okay for you, um, you suddenly no longer feel like a slave to the world around you, and you feel like you can make, you know, you can make your life what you want it to some degree. There's less to be afraid of. There's less, you know, it feels like there's less at stake, even though even though you're like kind of like giving things away. It's kind of interesting. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would hate for them to reach the bottom, rock bottom, and so would you. But it may ultimately be the only thing that could help them. They've been in therapy for several years and they haven't made any. I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have made some improvements, right? But if they've been in therapy for several years now with depression, and recently now they're finally just diagnosing themselves with, like self-diagnosing themselves with everything, it seems to me something's taken a wrong turn, and something probably took a wrong turn a long time ago. Um, and this is the outcome of that, whatever that is. I'm not going to blame that on the therapist. I'm not going to blame that on anybody. It just is what it is. Something has gone wrong much longer time ago than the recent self-diagnosis stuff. So, um, and maybe they do have some of this stuff, right? Maybe they're right about their self-diagnosis. Cool, but it's not helping, you know? Yeah, like to know what's wrong with you is can be helpful, but it can also be self-defeating if you don't use it for your own good, you know? So, and that's obvious. So what I would say is the best advice I can possibly give for all this, for you as their friend, is to engage them into something that's not them. Engage with them into a world that is not about them, but allow them to make it about them if it seems like it's going to be helpful. And they can be wrapped up in it so much that, like, yes, it's their life getting wrapped up in it, and that's good or bad, whatever. You kind of fear like, well, what if it's like video games and they just play video games all day and then they never do anything with their life, and then yeah, then that's my fault and that feels bad and that doesn't help. Well, yeah, maybe that would be bad, but at the same time, um, some amount of happiness might be gained from that, and it might be a better stepping stone than what they've currently got. Um, but should just be a stepping stone, right? Of course. So that's why I think it's something that should be uplifting, future oriented, and something you are aiming for, and inviting them along to aim for it too. Wanting their opinions on things, wanting for their assistance on things, thinking highly of them enough that you're willing to trust them with that journey with you. Does that make sense? And maybe you don't necessarily feel like you're close enough to this person to do that kind of thing. But if you are, that's what you need to do. And that's like not what you need to do, but like that's the only thing I know that's the only way I know how it helps. When it's this far, when it's this far in, that's the only way I know of that really is effective time and time and time and time again. I mean, their therapist is already trying to do their best, I'm sure. And they're already doing everything they can do themselves, right? That's where they are, where they're at. They're doing everything that they can do. And it doesn't seem like much. And it's like, well, they could do more. They're just not putting effort. Fair, but maybe they're so putting in so much mental effort into their thoughts that literally they have no ability to do anything else but that, and they're kind of just stuck where they're at. They're not actually stuck, but they feel like they're stuck, right? So all of that, I would say something like, um, if you can find a way to ask them their opinion more on things, to make them feel like their thoughts are valid and important, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good step. If you can find other ways to make them feel important, that's pretty good. But in the end, those will only really come to be helpful after some of these other points set in. So you got to get rid of that, the habit of declaring war on themselves, right? You got to get rid of that habit of seeing everything as negative if it has to do with them. And you have to get rid of that habit of them focusing on themselves so stinking much. They're doing way too much of that, right? So how do you do that? That's hard, but you can only do that by example. So I would say you have to not spend too much time focusing on them when you're with them. And don't treat them like you're trying to cater to them, or don't treat them like you're stepping on eggshells. Don't treat them like you know they're down, right? Because that only pulls them back into themselves in this reclusive, painful way. And so instead, you have to find something else that's forward moving and exciting and interesting to focus on. You have to focus on that. And then take them by the hand and lead them in that direction. And if they can get inspired by your activity, if they can get inspired by the way you see things, if they can get inspired by the way that other people in this kind of group that are going this direction are seeing things, this is how they will slowly break those habits of being self-focused, self-centered, right? And super negative about everything. If you fix either of those two things, it's going to be a big change, right? If you can just alter the habit of either of those things a little bit, you'll see a big change in them. You do in the end need both, but if you just even just one of those is going to be you're going to see a big change in them. So that's the best I've got. That's my most practical, honest advice, and I know it's not very hands-on because now I'm leaving you with the task of finding what that future thing is that you can focus on and bring them along for the adventure. And it might literally be like, hey, we're going camping. It might be that. You'd be like, hey, I've always wanted to go to the woods and like live like a month out in the woods. I've always wanted to just like, um, I know this is crazy, but I always just want to like build a house out in the middle of the woods and survive like off of like just berries and stuff. And as you know, it's like we'll take some stuff with us, and you're the guy I wanted to bring along. You down? Maybe that'll be the thing. You know, that's totally weird, but hey, people need to get away. People need to get away from where they're at sometimes in order to have an outside look on what their experience is, right? What they're going through is, I mean, it's just a thing. And they need to be able to see it from outside themselves. But that's not possible right now for them. So maybe if they're removed from it long enough, they can start looking on it and looking back on it and saying, oh, I can see it from the outside now, and I think that there are things I could do a little bit differently. That could be helpful. So getting away is important. Saole is pointing at, and Myungweo had pointed out as well. And truly just engaging them, not focused on them. Because if you focus on them, they're going to focus on themselves, right? And that's what you need to stop them from doing. So engaging them in a way that pulls them forward into something new, into something grand, into something that's for their future, into something that's exciting for them, into something that's a whole new world, into something that's surrounded by people who are reaching and striving for success in that area in a way that's infectious. Like, that's the surest way. That's the surest way. But beyond that, just being a good friend while they slowly pace themselves through this all until they reach the tipping point and break and fall apart into even bigger of a mess. And then have something come along and give them a new foundation. And maybe that's you. And build up from that foundation, that new truth that they believe in, that's helpful and good and holy, and moves them into building things off of that foundation which are good for them, right? That might be what happens. That might be the route that's going to end up happening. And if you can be there for them and help be a part of that foundation, a part of that core truth that they base their life on, that could be the only, like, that I guess that's the best thing you can do. Because in the end, you have to, like, their foundation's so totally cracked everywhere right now. They're not standing on like anything. You know, they're standing on quicksand, and they don't have a foundation that's very strong right now. And so if you can in any way put things into their life that can be new foundations, that'd be amazing. And they might have to wait until they completely crack and break down and have nothing. But it might not have to wait for that. If you can find something to run after with them, that'd be stinking amazing. That could be huge. That could be huge. Anyways, sorry, I talked forever to say like basically that, but I wanted to really sell it because I think it's important. And obviously it's important because this is a person, a human life we're talking about, and it's your friend. So yeah. Anyways, with that, Jan, do you have anything you want to add. Hello? Oh, Myung is sidestep right now. All right. Well, it's totally fine. Or his audio's not coming through.
Oh, my bad. I forgot I was on mute.
Ah, there we go.
I think I like put it on mute to like go grab water or something like that,
You know, that's
and then
good.
I forgot
Makes
to turn
sense.
it off. Okay, I have a couple things to add. First of all, I really like what you were saying, Ryan, about like get the get them to focus off of themselves,
Mhm.
and then like give them something to like chase after with you, Anonymous. Like I felt like that stuff was really good, Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Um, and then some things I'd like to add is on the like the stuff about like the mental illnesses or whatever. Like they
hmm
got like officially diagnosed with OCD, and like they could have some other stuff, but like they're self-diagnosing right now, so that's not for sure. But either way, like whatever of these things they do have, that doesn't define them. Like just because they have OCD doesn't mean that like they're destined to fail. Like let them know that these struggles that they have don't define them as incapable of accomplishing the things they want to do. Like that isn't who they are. That's a struggle they're going through. It's not who they are, and they can like do great things and have a great life despite these struggles.
hmm Yeah.
What was the other thing? Oh, and then like let them know that like they do like that they aren't stuck in things being bad. Like they have the power to um and then like also you can like but anyways, they have the power to improve themselves or like chase after something with you.
hmm
Like just because like they feel like they're stuck now, they don't have to continue to be stuck. Like they do have it in them to improve. And make sure like whether it's like them improving on like I don't know, them like making a good art piece or like if y'all are chasing after something together, like the victories in there, make sure you're helping them to celebrate the victories, even the small victories. Um
Yeah.
yeah,
hmm
I think let me think for a second. I think that's all I have, but let me see if there was anything else. I think I think that's it.
Yeah.
Like they can't some of these things are like there's some external factors, but like as far as improving how they look at things or like the managing their finances, like even though those things are like hard to hard to do, like hard to make that change, they do have it in them to make these changes. And I think that's all I have.
Yeah. I think if continuing to affirm them, again, you don't want to draw too much attention to them. You don't want to, like, I know it's hard because it's like, well, I want to make sure that they know that I think highly of them, and I think you should let them know that. But um, it's also, when you do that, you do draw more attention to themselves, and that can be bad, right? Because if you're like, hey, I think that you're awesome, and that can be, like I said, that could be what they need to hear. But at the same time, it might be like every time you say that, they are spending time in their head, spending more time in their head, reaffirming their habit of like, yeah, but I'm not. Don't know why they say that. It's annoying that they think that because it's not even true. They don't know me. They think that they think I'm awesome, but I'm not. Whatever. Stuff like that. It's gonna be going on in their heads. So it really stinks. But I think it is important, as Myung Wheels was pointing out, to affirm them, to let them know that they are intelligent, that they are important, and so on and so forth. Even if it does mean that they'll spend more time in their head battling you and battling themselves. I think some amount of affirmation is important, especially if you get focused on a task. You can say, well, you're really good at this. I'm gonna put you in charge of that, and they'll be like, um, you know, you're kind of just putting it on them, and I think that's good. People need that. Um, so yeah. With that, I think I don't really have anything to add. It's a hard position to be in for you and your friend, especially to watch them kind of go downhill and decline. That's rough to be a witness of, especially when it feels like you can't do anything about it. I'll pray and I hope that you guys can figure out something to get attached to and like pole vault off of that can push them in the direction that really sees humanity and other people, stop thinking about themselves so much, and like learn to enjoy the world around them and all of that. I hope you can find something. Um, but you know what? The reality is, all I can do is give my advice from my experience. My experience, that's the number one way. But I'll tell you what, I don't know everything. And you might yourself find something. We might have said something along this, or maybe just talking about it made you think of your own answers to this. That is nothing that we said, but is what ends up working. So try. In the end, that's all you can really do is try. I think if you spend too much time um, trying to counsel them when they don't really want it, or giving them advice, or telling them that they need to live their life this way or that way, uh, you're probably only going to make a bigger divide between you and them. Um, I do not have any coffee, by the way. No, thank you, Ify. But that's my own experience saying talking, and that might not be true for your friend. It could be that if you did spend more time focusing on them, that they would kind of help figure themselves out, that they would like start to open up and realize like, because like with depression was basically prompt him. I would say things like, I would basically in a way be kind of like a therapist. I was not a therapist by any means, but I would just ask him questions, like what he thought about different things, what he thought about spiritual things, what he thought about like, and just take his full opinion on it. Like, what's your opinion on this matter? Because he's the one going through it, not me, and I can only say like, wow, that sounds really tough. You know, do you think that's because of this, or do you think that's because of that, or do you think neither? Right? And never ask a question that's putting him in a spot where I'm acting like I think I know what's going on with him. I always just feel like I don't know, and I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to flesh it out with you. So maybe all you need to do is just spend some time saying, I'm not like spend some non-accusative time with them and just say like, do you think that blah 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 because of this or that or neither of the two? Like, how is this working out? Like, why do you think why do you think this is this way? And you can start off with things that are not necessarily about them with that kind of stuff and then move on to them. And then they feel a little bit more comfortable, right? So, I mean, I don't have any perfect examples, but I hope you get what I mean by that. Um, because part of their way out of this is going to be changing those interior habits. And there is a small chance that they do it themselves without needing to go on an adventure or to be completely torn down to nothing for it to happen. So I guess I'll leave you with that. There's a small chance that they just need to an environment that's healthy for them to open up into and not receive advice or criticism or anything. Just an ear that wants to know more about them and their situation and wants to learn from them about what their experience is, because you care about who they are and you care about their experience. Like, they need that. And maybe that's something you already are for them. But if you're not that yet, I would encourage you to be that. Um, don't come in acting like you know that their self-diagnoses are wrong, because maybe they're right. Maybe you know they're wrong, but still, it's more helpful for them to learn than it is for you to tell them. In fact, a lot of times therapists don't make very much headway. Actually, therapists tend to make zero headway when they tell their clients what's wrong with them and how to fix it. A therapist's job is to help the person convince themselves of how to fix it and attempt it, because then and only then do changes actually happen. So I guess my last thing would be to be the kind of person that just accepts them from where they're at, loves them and wants the best for them, but doesn't tell them what to do, doesn't tell them that they know that you know the way out, but the kind of person that doesn't think they know the way out, but rather the kind of person that just says, I don't know. I don't know how to get you out of this, but why do you think this is this way? Why do you think that is that way? Maybe we can figure something out. And that's, I think, maybe the best I can give you as a final statement. But yeah, thank you so much, Anonymous, for this topic. You have a big heart, and it's good to see that you care so much. And yeah, we feel for you, and we love you, and we hope the greatest success in this realm for you and for them especially. Saule, you're having connection issues. Is everybody having connection issues? Just in case, I should ask that. Saule, I love you, Saule. You're amazing, and I love you, and I love you. Thank you. Okay, there, I typed it. Have a great, I love you. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. With that, thank you, Anonymous, sincerely, and thank you for this topic. And we both, and all of us, hope that good comes out of it. Yeah. We do have other topics.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, we do. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Anonymous. We hope that something we said was helpful.
Yeah.
And we wish you and your friend best wishes. Hope everything goes well.
And the greatest success.
And yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be down to doing this next topic. Although we've got 25 minutes, is that enough time, do you think, or do you want to? Because I know that you should get going towards that marker.
Or
We could try. We
I
could.
think that's enough time to do something. If nothing else, I can always like pop out and then just like put
Mhm.
myself on mute so that you can like finish up.
This is what we'll do. We're going to give this our best over the next 25 minutes, and if in the end, either of us feel like, okay, well, we have to close it down, but we're not done with this, we could pick it back up next week. Obviously, me and Lucy might not be here for that, but that's why I'm gonna give you the the first talking point and try to give it to you over to you as much as possible.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the topic, right? And I also put it up on the screen. Everyone can read along with me if you so desire. This topic is from Sleepy Squirrel. Sleepy Squirrel writes this topic for us, and hopefully they are still with us and here to listen in. With that, I will give it my best. Sorry, I'm just looking for buttons. Okay, so this is from Sleepy Squirrel. I did not process it, so it doesn't have a title, but it reads as follows. I have goals that I pursue. I make great progress, but after a few days, I often start to hold on. I often start to re-question the purpose of my goals. And instead of feeling a reignition of motivation, I feel apathetic, and no reason seems to satisfy my continuing. This often leads me, this often leads to me stopping progress on everything and wondering, is this really what I should be doing with my life? Then I get stuck in a loop thinking if I feel apathetic, then either I should change my goals or fix my apathy. Which, by the way, is a loop that I was stuck in for years until I found a trick that I can use on myself, which instead of questioning or reasoning a purpose that can never be satisfied, I just ask myself, what action can I take to make this as good as possible? Instead of, what is the point of doing this? This works in terms of making some progress, but doesn't shake the feeling or stop the questioning from coming up again a few days later. The more the feeling of doubt comes up, the harder it is to let go and just take action. I don't think that there is harm in questioning the purpose of things I don't think there's harm in questioning the purpose of things every now and then. There we go. It usually helps people stay on track and motivates them. But not me and my apathy. What can I do to get rid of the apathy? From Sleepy Squirrel. Thank you, Sleepy Squirrel. I believe I know who this is, but matters not. This is a good topic, and I think one that's quite interesting. Actually, it's very very interesting psychologically to me. So, yeah. To start off with, do you feel like you have? Do you think I need to buy you some time before you enter in on this, or do you want to give it a go? Yeah, Leos.
Uh, I think I'm ready to say some stuff
Awesome.
on
Go for
it.
it then.
The first thing that I thought of when hearing this is if you can't if you're thinking about it and you can't find like a reason yourself of like why you're doing this, just like my first thought was like create a reason. Like if you're thinking about it and you can't find like what seems like a solid purpose, just like give yourself one, even if it's like kind of made up and it's like even if it's something like because it brings you joy, like that's still a valid purpose for
Mm,
doing something. Even if like what you're doing, if the only purpose you have in it is that it brings you joy or brings somebody else joy, like that's a solid reason in itself. But if you can't find like a solid purpose, then like create one. And then also like whatever your goal is, have someone else like be in on it too. Like even if they're not like doing stuff toward it, like have someone who's like I guess keeping up with your progress, who you're telling about it and who like wants you to reach that goal. And so like
mm,
if you can't think of like a internal purpose of why you're doing it, like if for no other reason you're doing it because whoever the person is like wants to see you get there, and so like you're doing it for them to like get there. um and then also like a lot of things don't have like a really like a clear purpose, like um I don't know, like playing video games, like it may seem like there's not really any purpose for doing it, you're not really getting anything out of it, but like not everything has to have like a really clear it's accomplishing this kind of a purpose, or like this is clearly what I'm getting out of it. Like playing a video game, like the purpose or what you're getting out of it in that moment might just be like you're having some chill time to just have fun, and that's the purpose of it. Or um like the purpose of your goal, like maybe it's just maybe the purpose of it is just to, I don't know what it is, like what the goal is, but even something like, I don't know, cleaning the house. And like the house. So I
Oh,
guess
sorry. My
basically,
internet cut you off. What?
at at what point did I get cut
It cut
off?
you off at the per, and then it stopped. I think you were saying the purpose of something.
Oh, well, basically, what I'm trying to say is like what I said at the beginning. If you aren't finding, like, if you're thinking over it and you're not finding, like, hold on, let me pull the topic back up. Like, if you're not finding a purpose that is like, this accomplishes this kind of a purpose, like like learn to be satisfied with things having like as simple a purpose as because it brings you joy or because you wanted to
Hmm.
do it, or like create a purpose in yourself, maybe of like, I don't know what this is gonna, like, I don't know what this is gonna bring whenever I accomplish it, but I know it's gonna bring something. Or even if it's just because you want something to shoot for, like be satisfied, like learn to accept things having simple purposes, like to bring joy to you or others. I guess is all I have right now.
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to you now, Brian.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think, as someone else said in the chat, lowering standards of what your purpose has to be for doing something, I think is a good start too. Um, Not that we should lower standards necessarily on everything, but just to be able to say, you know what, the reason I'm doing that is because it's fun, and then just be like, that's okay. That's a good enough reason to do it. Sometimes that's okay. Um, But yeah, if you want to get, like you said at the end here, Sleepy Girl, what can I do to get rid of the apathy? And yeah, that's a really good question. I think you're kind of right, and you're in a position where you're sort of defeating yourself, right? And you kind of don't care what the purpose is. You're only asking what the purpose is in order to, like, at this point, it's like you ask what the purpose is in order to motivate yourself, but it's not working. Instead, it demotivates you because you're stuck going, well, nothing is an acceptable reason or purpose. Nothing is purposeful enough to get me actually out of my seat and to do something. Um, then in the end, really, you're kind of just asking yourself, what's the purpose in order to get out of doing something rather than actually doing something, even if that's not necessarily your mind's attempt. But I think if it's not helping, obviously, uh, it should change. So how do you get rid of the apathy or whatever it is that's kind of causing this? I think um, it's like it is a good idea to kind of lower the standard to some degree, because it's like if you look at somebody who, like, I like that you use the word apathy, because if you look at somebody who has like a broken foot and you just kind of don't care because you're like, well, it's just a broken foot. I've had a broken foot before. It's like whatever, right? It doesn't hurt that bad. And also, it's like, yeah, you can't walk on it, but it's like just go to the hospital. They'll put a cast on it and fix you up. It's like, why are you acting like it's a big deal? It's not a big deal. You've got a broken foot. Who cares? You could act like that, and and I think you feel that way if like a person might feel that way. Um, but like, let's swap that out for like, oh, you got like a paper cut on your finger, and it's like, oh, you just got a paper cut on your finger. It's like, what are you crying about? You didn't break your foot. And it's like, so what's your standard, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like if someone gets a paper cut, you don't care. If they break their foot, you do care. Okay, so it has to be a bad enough problem that they like to decide whether something is, oh, thank you, worthy of your attention or not. It has to be a certain level, and so lowering your standard kind of does help lower that. So if you actually care, if they, if you care that they get a broken foot, um, I think that's good. That's a start, right? But if you don't care if they get a paper cut, well, maybe your standards are too high, right? Maybe you should care that they got a paper cut. I hope that makes sense. I know that's a little bit arbitrary or seemingly disconnected, but it has to do with apathy. So if you can care more about the little things, maybe that is the fix. You know, I think Ken Myangos was kind of going that direction with, and other people as well. If you can care about the little things, if you can lower your threshold of how big of a deal does this have to be to get me to motivated, instead just think about um, how can you lower what's needed to actually motivate you, lower the intensity or lower the threshold of what what bar needs to be met before it becomes motivating. But in the end, I think the reality is too that not everybody's motivated in their brain the same way that other people are. I mean, the mechanisms are the same and motivation is the same, but it doesn't necessarily come about in the same way. Maybe there is no purpose out there that will ever motivate you because your brain just doesn't necessarily line up with the idea of purpose in that construct, in that yeah, in that structure. And so maybe when you find yourself asking for motivation, and asking for purpose out of that, um, instead of asking for purpose, ask for something else to motivate you, like something that you find actually does motivate you. You know, like when you're going through life, pay attention to things that like excite you. It's like, oh, I like eating food because it's yummy, and I get motivated to do that because it's enjoyable. Okay, well that's maybe where you need to take your brain when you are trying to motivate yourself to work. Like you work for a couple of days, you say, and then all of a sudden you get hit with this feeling of like demotivated, uh, just demotivation, I guess. And then you turn to, well, why am I doing this, right? What, remember the reason why I started this, you know? And that's not doing it for you. Instead, maybe what you need to do is you feel that demotivation and you go, ah, man, I don't know, like experiencing the taste of this would be so cool, or whatever it is about anything in life that gets you excited, um, and trying to incorporate those mechanisms into your thinking rather than relying on your brain somehow making adjustment so that suddenly the idea of purposefulness motivates you, because purposefulness just doesn't motivate you, it doesn't motivate you, right? So you just need to take your brain whenever you start to feel yourself going in that direction, correct it and go, let's not go in that direction. Let's go into, instead of looking at motivation or instead of looking at purposefulness, let's look at something else, whatever that is that you might be able to find in what you find in other places that motivate you. And maybe you might find that, well, purposefulness motivates me. That's why I start on anything. That's how I start. That's where like, and maybe that's true, but maybe it's not. So, um, yeah, I think that those two ideas could potentially be helpful. Um, yeah, that's what I've got for now. Youngles, do you have anything you want to add on? My mind is a little distracted.
Uh,
I just
I have
got
a few
coffee.
more
Thank you for
things.
the coffee. I got coffee, guys.
I'll start. Um, Neonsite, I really like what they said in the chat here. Why are you trying to justify your goals with purpose and reason? Why do you need a reason to do something good? I really like that because, like, while it can be good, like, and motivating to have like a specific purpose for something, some things you just won't like be able to have an identifiable purpose, and like that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you feel that it is good, like in some way, even if that's just makes you happy or whatever, then it can be worth pursuing. Just just because you want it to be, like just because
Mhm.
you want to pursue it. Doesn't need to have a specific reason. If you feel it's good and you want to pursue it, then pursue it.
I really like
And then
that.
some other things to
Mhm.
have. Um, like what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, to have started whatever goal, you must have started it for some reason. And like whether that was like some purpose of, oh, this is gonna get me this, or maybe you just started it because you wanted to. Like you must have started it for some reason, and thus like whatever the reason you started it for, like I feel is like if whenever you're thinking about the purpose of what you're doing, like maybe try and remember why you started it in the first place. And if that's just because you wanted to, then like, continue it because you want to. Or if it's because you want to accomplish, like, do this thing for like the community or something, then like have that in mind. I don't know if it would be helpful, but like it could be helpful when thinking about like why should you continue it? Think about why you started it in the first place. And then yeah, I think that's what I have. Like, and if the reason you started it, like, don't get caught up. Like, if you can't remember the reason you started it, or like if you don't feel like it's valid or whatever. Like, it's why whatever reason you're doing something. Like, even if it's not much of a reason, like Dansai said, you don't need a reason to do something good. It can help, but like if you just want to pursue your goals to pursue them, then do that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. I think right along that line, I I think about myself, and I'm maybe not like everybody else, but um, hmm, I think that it's important to look at purpose, and like Sleepy Squirrel said, it's important to look at purpose. It's not a bad thing. Um, I can think about though something that I find interesting um, in I'm going to draw it into something kind of religious, but it's to make a point. In Christianity, there's an argument. I suppose it's not really for it or against it, but people say that if you take away heaven, there's no reason to be Christian, I suppose. And I would argue that's completely wrong, um, because you don't need to have the perfect finish. You don't need to have paradise in order to decide that something is worth doing in the first place. And you don't need that purpose um, necessarily to be doing something good. Um, you know, people I've heard arguments that it's like you're a Christian because you're afraid of hell, and if you're afraid of hell, that means you only do good things because you're afraid that if you don't, you go to hell, and you think that if you do, you'll go to heaven. So really, you're just being selfish. And I think that might be true for some people, but uh, the reality is like when I'm a Christian because I believe that God is with me here and now, and I don't have to wait till heaven to live that life of being a holy person. And so I don't need the finality of the outcome to be certain in order to act in life now off of what I know is good. So I don't need promise of an end or even to define necessarily a full purpose for me to decide to be good or live in the world the way that I do now. And that was a really weird way to get there, but I hope that made sense. Um, it's not necessarily that we can only be good if we're afraid of something bad. And it's not necessarily the sense that we can only be good if we think that there's a promise of something good at the end of being good. Because being good does require sacrifice um, at times. But we can be good just because we believe in it, right? Believe in being good. And by believe, I mean we put our lives in the hands of being good. And what we know that whether we get anything out of it or not, we know it's the right thing to do and it's worth doing. And it's good. It's good because it's good. And it's kind of a weird secular kind of thinking, but I guess ultimately I'm trying to say is um, we don't need to be certain. We don't need to have a purpose that's completely figured out. Sometimes it's much better to act in the moments where we can act than it is to sit there waiting to figure out uh, and waiting till the very end of figuring everything out before we make a decision and act. Um, and it's okay that we just choose sometimes to act without having a full decision made up in our minds, because it reaps more results than like literally trying to calculate everything out in the world and figuring out does this lead to the best ending and so on and so forth, and then learning that you can't possibly figure that out because your brain isn't big enough, nor do you know enough information, nor does anybody know enough information to supply you with the right kind of information to fully figure that out. So it's kind of like pointless, right? To run in that circle. So you'd be there forever, is what I'm trying to say. It's much better to not be there forever and just go, you know what? All I can do is act on goodwill. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to act on goodwill. I'm going to act on good faith. I'm just going to do what I know is good and right and make progress. And time will tell where this will go. And that's all I can do. Because that is in reality all you actually can do, because nothing else is certain. You cannot know. Like you might have like I understand like wanting a purpose. Like I want this to be good because I want to do this in the world, or I want to see, I want to see this creation unfold in front of me, and that's cool. That's cool. But sometimes if that's all it is and it's shallow, let it be shallow, because your mind, everybody's mind, is not complex to understand all of the purposefulness of everything in the universe. Let it be shallow. Be humble and just know that you're doing something that you believe you started to do for good reasons, and all the reasons still check out now, and it might not necessarily live up to all that you want out of life, but at the same time it's something more than nothing, and just be happy with that. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's a pot that has some potential to it, and on top of lowering your standards, on top of possibly just um, yeah, uh, some of the other stuff we said that I can't remember right now. Anyways, it's 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. for me, and it's time for Myanglios to go. Myanglios, do you have any final things you want to say real quick?
Yeah, I've a few final things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what we were saying already. Not everything has to have like a clear cut purpose, or like one that has like a distinct thing. Like a purpose for life that someone might give is just to live your life. Like, even though that's not really much of a clear cut purpose,
Mm-hmm.
like some things that's the type of purpose they have, and like that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything has to have like a clear cut purpose. And then one other thing, this may not necessarily be like just to like look at it, like talk on like another side of it. It could help to in some way, even to just have a like insightful conversation, or to like tell some people that you know, or like that you're close with, like explain like whenever you're like how you'd be like debating what the purpose for you doing this goal is, and how you're not finding anything like good. Like maybe talk to some people you know and see like what their thoughts on it are. Like maybe they see a purpose for it that you don't, or maybe they would say something like us and say like you don't need necessarily like a clear purpose to be doing it. Like what you're doing is good. I don't know what the clear purpose is, but yeah, but maybe talking with some other people about it might give some good perspectives as well. And then I think that's all I have to add.
Fair enough. That's a good idea. And with that,
Ryan, do you think we sufficiently covered the topic?
I hope so. We'll have to find that out later, but I think we did basically. I said everything I can think of for now.
Yeah, I
But
also said everything I could think of too.
cool. I mean, I might come back to this next stream, but um, chances are low on that. But hey, at the same time, maybe that's what we'll start the stream with next time because we don't have any topics. So if you guys have any topics, it would be really awesome if you could send them in. You can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Very simple. Name of the show. Don't put the apostrophe in though, because that will ruin everything, and the internet will not like you anymore ever again. So made that mistake before. Okay, so don't put the apostrophe in don'tworrywednesday.com, but go to don'tworrywednesday.com and submit a topic. We'd really appreciate it. And we thank you for spending some time with us this evening or morning or whatever. Ever? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm exaggerating. You'll be fine. If you put an apostrophe, you'll be fine. Trust me. But anyways, we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and also hope to see you next Wednesday. With
Yeah.
that,
And thank you, Sleepy Girl, for the topic.
thank you so much for the topic. Really appreciate that you turned one in. That's really helpful to us, and also hopefully helpful to you. Hope you got something out of it, and you can let me know. But yeah, with that, thank you guys so much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for your participation in the chat, or even just those who just checked in to listen. Thanks for being awesome, being lovely, and being so bright in this world. You guys are so awesome. We love you all, and thank you, Mianglios, once again, for filling in for Joe. You are so awesome, so helpful. We really appreciate you. Thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. And great job, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye now.
Cool. See ya.
Bye. Peace.